Shannon, is Scottie Pippen's career overrated or underrated?
I think it's underrated, and anytime you play with a historically great player, Skip, you're going to be devalued. That's just the way it is. It took Kobe playing without Shaq for us to get a proper appreciation of who Kobe Bryant was. Because Shaq carrying Kobe. He carried him. Kobe wasn't getting the credit that he deserved. I don't think McHale gets the credit that he deserved because he played alongside Bird, Skip. That's just who can play alongside LeBron and get the proper credit. We devalue Chris Bosh. We devalue D Wade. We devalue Kyrie. Kyrie was what you see right now. Kyrie was doing that with LeBron. But we didn't give him the credit. And Skip, we got to stop this notion. If a guy doesn't win the MVP, he's a bum. You can be a great player and never win an MVP. It's okay. And it's like, well, he wasn't Michael. Who was? There's only one really, when we think about that, Skip, there's even one guy that even gets brought up in the conversation, whether you believe it or not. I had a conversation with Ken Griffey Jr., and he was telling me the story how if some parents were saying, well, your son will never be you. He said, well, name 5 people who ever was. Skip, I mean, there ain't no slight to say he's not Michael Jordan, Skip. I mean, the guy, what we see with LeBron, the point forward, was him. The championship runs, he led in rebounds, he led in points, he led in steals, he led in block shots. Jordan led in scoring. Normally, he took the best offensive player. He guarded the Larry Birds. He guarded the tough assignment, the Magic Johnson. Scottie Pippen took him. He was a 10-time all-defensive player. 8 times he was on the first team. What was Michael Jordan? Scottie, you got to remember what Michael Jordan was before you. Oh, a guy that never got out of the first round? A guy that never won the MVP? A guy that was never, what was he? Now, I think a lot of what Scottie is misplaced. Jordan never undervalued because you can't get mad at Jordan because of the way Skip Bayless or others perceive you. That ain't Jordan's fault. So I think a lot of this, Skip, is misplaced. I agree with him that he threw Scottie under the bus. He put some things in the Last Dance documentary that Scottie felt was disrespectful and took a shot at him. Yep. But where I can get with Scottie is that he has this animosity towards Jordan. Well, Jordan don't say it in any list. Jordan's never said. Jordan's been effusive in his praise. Yep. There's no Michael Jordan without Scottie Pippen. He said that over and over. So I just think there's some things that's going on. Maybe he's not as close. It's okay, Scottie. You won't be the first great player that worked close to the player that was better on your team. That's okay. But I think this has a lot, Skip. This has not just happened. This ain't just come about because of no book. Scottie Pippen has been feeling this way for a very, very long time. And I think the Last Dance was the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back. So I agree with him on a few things, but when it comes to this, it's misplaced. He need to be mad at guys like you. Guys like sit around the desk and say you overrated. That's what we should be mad about, not 23. So I can't get with him on all this. A few of these things, I'm on his side. But hey, at the next stop, Skip, I had to get off the bus.
My turn. I covered the 1998 Chicago Bulls, the Last Dance Bulls for the Chicago Tribune, so I was there. I knew a lot of people in and around that team, and yet I have had media friends of mine who I've known forever try to make the case to me that Scottie Pippen was one of the most, if not the most underrated player in NBA history. Right. And I am dumbfounded by that whole notion because, to me, he is one of the more overrated players in NBA history because I saw it up close and personal with my own eyes and my own gut feelings and my own eye testing. Scottie was viewed within the organization as not the mentally toughest guy, not a leader, more of a follower, that Michael did wonders for him just being in Michael's orbit in his force field because it raised the level of Scottie's game. He was a talented player. He was a very good player. But he was also, in the end, mostly a product of Michael Jordan when it came to he was one of the top 50 players. There is no way he's one of the top 50 if he were the alpha and the leader and the leading scorer or the dominant player on another team. He's not going to be a top 50 player. And just for the record, when he when he left Chicago after Michael walked into the sunset and said, if you run Phil off, I'm done. And Michael stayed retired for 3 years after 1998. And Scottie went on to Houston and joined forces with Akeem Olajuwon and Charles Barkley and did nothing there. That team just flamed out. And Scottie averaged 14 for that team. Then he went to Portland and averaged 13 points and 12 points. And the first Portland team did get to the conference finals.
He was old, though.
Was he? Yeah. He was 33 and 34, which was Michael was 34 in the Last Dance season. Right. Okay. So all that sticks in my mind and my craw about this is, let's go back to the migraine game, shall we? Mm-hmm. Because it was against Detroit, Game 7, 1990. Yeah. And all of a sudden, Scottie comes up with a migraine. And they brought it up in the documentary because Jordan was just beside himself, like, I need you now. Right. You got to come with me here. I need some help here to go after these bad boys because they were bad boys. And what happens in Game 7? Scottie gives them a grand total of 2 points and 4 rebounds. Went 1 of 10 from the floor and 0 for 2 from 3 and didn't even shoot a free throw. And Michael scored 31 with 8 rebounds and 9 assists, and they got blown out, 93-74. Okay, so that was issue number 1.
He's like, well, what I got to be in the Last Dance? That ain't got nothing to do with 98 season.
All right, so then we get to the 1.8 seconds left game.
Oh, yeah.
Which is Game 3 of the 94 playoffs, round 2 against the Knicks. And there's no Michael because he is, quote-unquote, retired. He was forced to retire. Okay. Scottie won't acknowledge that. And Scottie was in the huddle, and Phil Jackson calls the last shot for Tony Kukoc with Scottie inbounding the ball, reminiscent of LeBron at Chicago, right?
Correct,
When Black called the last play for Kyrie. And LeBron said, hell no. And to LeBron's credit, he said, give me the damn basketball. And it wasn't a 3, it was a 2 from the corner. But he made it. That was one of the best shots LeBron has ever made because it was a mad shot. I love LeBron mad. Scottie didn't get mad. He quit. He pouted. He sulked. He just sat on the bench and said, I won't even go in the game. And to Kukoc's credit, he went in and stroked it home. And they won the game and survived and got all the way to Game 7 against the Knicks, but they lost in 7. And in the
Hugh Hollins gave that bullshit.
That was a whole nother issue. But in the Game 3 post-game locker room, Scottie got excoriated by all the rest of the Bulls who said no.
Bill Cartwright was hurt.
No.
He said, Scottie, you let us down.
You cannot do that. Yep. And then Scottie recently went on Dan Patrick's show, and he's said this several times in his career, and accused Phil of being racist by doing that, by calling the last shot for Kukoc.
But he took it.
But in the book, he took it back. But he dismisses it as the moment of truth had come for Phil, and he abandoned me. Is the point? But he also backed off and said, for 30 years, I tried to make it racist.
Justify why he would do that, because that's the only explanation that I could give.
Right.
That he had to be racist in order to take. He keeps saying, Skip, that's my moment. That was my moment.
Yep. Okay. And then my third instance of Scottie Pippen came in Game 6, Michael's last game in the Last Dance season at Utah in the NBA Finals. Okay. And before the game, I was told by Bulls insiders that Scottie was under the weather, number 1, but he was also dealing with the back tightening, spasming. And so he was not himself. And what did Michael do in Game 6? He went out and scored 45 points of their 87, because they ended up winning 87-86. And if we could see at the end of the game what happened, you can see the last shot here on Brian Russell. And Scottie's just wide open, and he was there. I have a picture of it where his hands were up for a second wanting the ball, and Michael just took one little look at him and said, "No."
You're like, man, I ain't finna pass you the ball with that bad back.
I'm not going to let you do this. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to hold the pose. Yep. And I've told you before, I'm not a memorabilia collector, but I bought this picture while I was at the Chicago Tribune because it was down in the gift shop at the Tribune, and it's an end zone shot of Scottie with his hands up like this and Michael about to do what he did. Right. And it's vintage. It's classic. Right. That was the essence of their relationship. And again, Scottie hates the Batman Robin, but he was Robin, and he was a very good Robin. Right. But in the end, Batman just said, I got this. Let's get, I'm going to make this shot. I'm going to hold the pose, and we're going to win 87-86, and I'm going to leave into the sunset.
Skip, I mean, I'm trying to think of a time that there was a situation that you've had what we call a duo, and you've had two Batmen.
Well, no, it won't work.
I mean, unless you get the Steph Curry KD. But that was a whole different dynamic. But Skip, when you get
it didn't feel duo-ish.
It didn't.
No?
It did not.
Yeah.
So, but see, Skip, I think the thing is that because y'all won't. Scottie said, if you gave me a little credit, just give me a little. Because the year that Michael was away in '94, Scottie did finish third in the MVP behind Elijah and Robinson in front of Shaq. He did win the All-Star Game MVP. So it was like you guys just like he was just a guy, and he wasn't just a guy.
He wasn't just a guy, but he wasn't a top 50 player to me.
But here's the thing, Skip. At this, what you're doing is that you're placing all the emphasis on scoring. If you just say as far as scoring, but it's you're not going to find. I don't believe you can find 10 guys that defend better than he could.
I got it. Although Michael was a really good defender because he made just as many all-defensive teams as Scottie did.
Yes.
And listen, I was there for this because Ron Harper could defend at the highest level.
And Rodman.
You put Rodman too,
4.
but you got 3 across that front line at cross half court. I can't tell you how many times we were in Charlotte for the second round of the playoffs, and I saw Bob Bass the next day, the GM of the what were they then? The Hornets, Charlotte Hornets, yeah. And he said we can't get the ball across half court because it's Jordan and Pippen and Harper, and it's just like. Huh? And they're all long, and they're all just nasty, and they're going to get up in you. And they all worked out together in what was called the Breakfast Club with the great Tim Grover as their trainer. And they took this deadly seriously on the defensive end.
Well, we saw what happened in the Olympics.
Yeah.
Because Jerry Krause wanted Tony Kukoc to say he was the European
the
Michael Jordan
of Europe.
And so they're like, okay, and they basically said on the bus, nobody else do anything. Scottie and I got it. Scottie and I got it.
And poor Kukoc.
And Skip, he was so long and he glided. I mean, he slid so well. It was him in game 1. He switched it. Phil said, Scottie, you got Magic starting game 2 and moving forward. Because Magic put a triple-double on Jordan. He did do that, and they won game 1.
They did.
And it wasn't until they flipped it and put Scottie on Magic. And he picked him up 94 feet and made it very, very difficult.
He did, and I will give you that. But there were many nights when Michael said, I got so-and-so. I'll take him out of the game. And Michael would play both ends.
Yes.
But all the leadership of that team, all the biggest shots, all the shot clock shots, all the game-winning type shots, Michael did all of the above.
But I think Scottie had one game-winning shot in his career. But, Skip, if you look at it, Shaq didn't take the game-winning shot. That was Kobe. I mean, at some point in time, somebody got to take the game-winning shot. And more times than not, it's going to be the best player. But I don't think anybody's debating that Mike was a better player than Scottie. But Scottie y'all making it seem like I was a bum, like I was the 8th guy on the roster.
I got it. But to me, Scottie was always something of a sad figure because he was bitterly jealous of Michael while they were playing, and it's only gotten worse over time.
But see, and jealousy, a lot of time is created by people, the peripheral. I don't think Michael did anything that, okay, but you know that the superstar get certain perks and privileges of whatever the case may be. But you just understood that, Skip. And I do agree with you that I think Jordan did a lot for Scottie's confidence. He's like, Scottie, let's shut this thing down. It did amazing for me when John Elway would say, okay, T, come on, let's go make a play.
Ooh.
Me? You gonna go make a play?
That guy said that to you.
We gonna go. You didn't say that to him. You didn't say that to you. I'm gonna go make this play. Because the man told me he want me to go make a play for him.
Well said.
And so I thought that had a lot to do with Scottie. But Scottie said that, as time goes by, Scottie ain't got no documentary to remind you, Skip, how good he was. Mike had we know how Mike was, how great he was, but then he put a documentary out, a 5 or 6 part documentary that got an opportunity for us to relive his greatness. Scottie and all y'all did about me was just show my flaws, show how I sat out a game, show how I had a migraine, show how I had a bad back.
And finally show how Jerry Reinsdorf, the owner, said, don't sign this.
You did.
Just don't sign this. Please don't sign this. But if you really want it, I can't stop you. I want the security.
But I will not negotiate with you now.
He will not.
Mike even told him, Scottie, don't do it.
Don't do it.
But Skip, it's like the bird in the hand. I'm hungry, Skip. Don't eat that.
Small town Arkansas, just want to, let me just have that security.
And I think he had a special needs son at the time.
He did, and he regretted it. I think it was a special needs
brother
like us.
Brother?
Is a brother.
I think it's a brother, my bad.
But then, he's had some money issues over time, and Michael became the richest man in sports, right?
Yeah.
And so it's just hard for him.
What they got to do with you?
Yeah.
And they got to, I mean, if I got a teammate that goes off and he makes a lot of, I'm not going to be envious of that, Skip. I had an opportunity. It's just tough. It's just tough I hate that it's come to this. Skip, I didn't ever think they were the best of friends or the closest of friends, but it seemed like almost like secretly that Scottie despised Michael.
Despised.
As he was up close and
I've been hearing from several Bulls insiders that I knew from '98 on, and they are so disappointed in this whole situation right now because it just stinks. It just has a stench to it.
Right.
That they won 6 championships.
Skip, Scottie couldn't pick up a phone and call Mike and say, Mike, I didn't like the way you portrayed me, but bro, you didn't have to do that. You didn't have to put me in there. I see you wasn't even there in '94. He says, what you did is that my lowest moments in my career is somehow in this Last Dance documentary, and none of those happened in 1998. So why is that? I get it, Skip, but I mean, I've never seen anything like this, Skip.
Yeah. Well, they are never going to reconnect.
No, you know I enjoyed this.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, Barkley said something about, him not being a great GM, and he changed the number, refused to speak to him.
I know. Yep.
So, this is, but I don't think the bridge was ever up.
No.
So you talk about he burned the bridge. There was no bridge, Skip.
And interesting when it's all on social. It's all on social media, and it gets messier and messier when it's kind of laid out that way.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.